if she's a virgin, there's a good chance that she's a total nutcase. I'm Paul from Apex Mindset. Take your finger, slide it over, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I do these videos. Look in the description for my email address and send me an email so that I can supply you with free content and reports off into the future that I cannot include here on YouTube because of the censors. So let's talk about virgin girls. All right, so here's the account. I'm going to give you, it's from a coaching session. I will give you a paraphrase of the scenario. So this dude was actually a younger guy, so I don't know the exact age of the girl. She was early 20s, okay? So, you know, it's possible that they could have not had sexual intercourse by at that point, all right? That's possible. Now, here's the thing, right? Like, I know a lot of you women who follow me are going to be thinking, gosh, you know, like, we can't win, you know? Either we sleep with too many people or we haven't slept with enough people. Like, what the hell are we supposed to do? I get that, all right? The thing is, there's pros and cons to everything. If you're wondering to yourself as a woman, what do I need to do for my sexual strategy here if I'm not sleeping with anyone? You know, now I'm a crazy, you know, person with a mental disorder, but if I'm sleeping with everyone, then I'm the slut who's not capable of pair bonding. What do I do, Paul? Coach Paul, what do I do? Okay, so look, the key is if you're a woman, you need to be pursuing meaningful relationships, meaningful sexual interaction. The key word is meaningful, okay? Ask yourself what your long-term strategy is, and that is what you need to be going for. If you practice a short-term mating strategy because your instinct tells you to do that when you're in your early 20s, you will compromise your ability to have happiness and fulfillment in a long-term mating scenario, which is what you're going to desire later, like in your late 20s, 30s, and so on. Okay? So generally speaking, younger girls chase after guys for a short-term mating strategy, for getting laid, basically, and all the feels and drama that goes along with that. I've talked about that in other videos. You need to suspend that when you're younger and try to pursue meaningful relationships, things that will allow you to have long-term success, and try to explore that. That doesn't mean never have sex with men, but you need to understand that each time you pull that trigger, it's a Russian roulette on your pair bonding abilities. So if you're serial monogamy and just going from guy to guy, you have a good chance of ruining your ability to be happy later on when you finally want to settle down, okay? And most women have that feeling that they would rather settle with that perfect guy or that guy that they really want to be with. Not settle, but, you know, find their best option and be with that guy forever, right? Like, that's most women want that. And they may want kids and a family and those things. If these are things that you want, do not execute the short-term, let's just bang a bunch of dudes strategy. I know society's telling you to do that, but that is a recipe for failure when you go to execute something for long-term success. So that's the answer for the ladies, okay? For guys who are wondering too, that's the answer for the women. There's no hard answer on it. We need more data, okay? But this is just from what we know now. But how are virgins problems? All right. You would think they're not a problem. Based on statistics, you know, the lower the notch count to include virginity prior to marriage, the higher the ability is to be happy in a long-term relationship. That's good according to statistics. But I have a lot of anecdotal situations involving guys who have been with virgins who end up finding out that they're crazy. All right, I'll share this one with you here. So this woman was in her early 20s, and she met a dude and was saving herself for marriage, but her primitive chimp brain had a different idea with this guy. This guy is a higher value man for his age. She saw it as that. She was sexually attracted to him. She came over. Things escalated. She had sex with him. All right? she probably had an inclination or a want or desire to have that from the beginning, given the fact that they were communicating almost strictly over Snapchat. That'll come into the story in a little bit later. So they have this experience. She tells him, hey, I'm not going to just do that again, and blah, blah, blah. And she gets really weird and toxic with him afterwards, you know, and wants to push him into a relationship, but isn't just going to have sex. And there's all this religion involved too. She's very hyper religious, okay? And so she had a lot of problems now and guilt, and started acting and saying, so he basically said, this is too toxic for me, you know, and if you can't date and be a normal person, this isn't going to work for me. And she came over and picked up some things she had left at the house and went back. Well, she calls him probably a couple months later saying, I thought about how the night went, and as it turned out, I think that you raped me. Now, yes, rape, okay? Now understand, there was not intoxication involved in this. There were no drugs involved. She came to his house on her own volition. You know, she stayed over. They had consensual sex. She had sent messages back and forth, flirting. She had called him to meet up and potentially have sex another time, you know, but just, I forgot why it didn't happen. He was not there. Well, I don't know what happened with that, but I might be, you know. So there was a number of interactions, and then months go by, you know, or at least, you know, 6 weeks to a couple months. So what had happened? Obviously, she needed to absolve herself and her guilty feelings based on religious social conditioning, and, you know, try to erase the fact that she had consensual sex and make herself more valuable to the next guy by saying that she was raped. She told him that she wouldn't be pursuing anything legally, she wouldn't be doing anything like that, but that she knows that that's what really happened. And then she blocked him on all platforms. So again, this is not somebody who was actually raped. This is somebody who is telling the story to justify her actions because of her guilt and that extreme religious stuff that she had going on in her head. That's pretty dangerous if you ask me, right? So first red flag on this, and you need to, first of all, you need to protect yourself when you're dating and spinning plates, all right? So you need to do not just do communication on Snapchat, which goes away or erases. You need to be doing communication on platforms where you have a track record of that communication. So if something weird because you don't know who this girl is. If you just started dating her, or you met her online dating or whatever, if you met her one time someplace and got her phone number and got her contact info or whatever, you don't know her. You don't know if she's crazy. And so just because she's a good virgin from a nice family or whatever and goes to the local church, that doesn't mean that she won't be completely toxic or cause you a problem, right? Which she could have done or could do maybe with this guy. A false rape allegation isn't good for anybody, right? That's not good for any man. So you need to make sure that you're protecting yourself. Do not allow yourself to sleep with somebody who is too intoxicated, okay? Obviously a drink or two is one thing, but if someone's intoxicated and isn't making the right decisions, do not sleep with them, because by definition that is rape, okay? So don't do that, even if she is consensual while she's obliterated, blackout, wasted. You sleep with her and she has remorse for her own decisions at the end of it, or the next day or whatever, you got a problem on your hands, right? So do the things to protect yourself. Back to the virgin thing, okay? If a girl's gone a long period of time, well past what is considered normal for somebody having tried sex before, you know, that could mean that they have a severe hang-up with sex, not that they're a good match, all right? So some of you guys are so binary in your thinking and so black and white in your thinking, and you don't look at the reasons behind certain things. You just look at the thing and go, that's a red flag, blah, blah, blah. You don't know what you're doing. A lot of you women do the same thing the other way. So a lot of you dudes will just want to shame a girl for having a higher notch count when she could be a lot healthier than some virgin bride. Because the virgin bride has been not sexually active because she's insane and has massive hangups with it. And then if you become her first, it's going to be a toxic whirlwind for you. Not good, right? So, other issue, if she's older, and I've ran into this now too with clients, she's older, like in her 30s, and hasn't had sexual relations before. Especially, well, what's the reason behind that? Now, maybe it's religious or whatever, and that could be a high value system, a high sense of value, but a lot of times it's not even the case. A lot of times it is, again, they have an inability to pair bond, they have a chemical imbalance, there's something going on, okay, that's not right up here. They might need psychological help, and they're not having sex with people because they have huge hang-ups with that. People making noises in the background while I'm on my video. Anyway, I'll have to go lay down the law after this. So, that's all right. see what those female voices are doing in the background. Maybe I'll get involved. I'll have to watch out though if they're virgins. Anyway, so just because somebody has a low notch count or hasn't had sex before, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be, that's not that black and white, right? You gotta look for the reasons behind these things. Okay, I again, another client had somebody who hadn't had sex before him, and it turned out she had a compromised ability to pair bond, and probably some depression issues and some other issues, and maybe needs mental health help. Okay, so that obviously didn't lead to a good relationship. Getting a rape allegation or getting a sexual assault allegation because some girl feels guilty for breaking her virginity because she's in a serious, seriously been indoctrinated in the church environment she's in, that's not a good thing, is it? So, not everything is as it seems. Notch count is important. I've done videos on it. My friends and other channels have done lots of videos on it. Why it's something you want to pay attention to. But it's not the end all be all. You got to look at the reasons behind things. Ultimately, as a man, what you're looking for is two things. If it's LTR situation, long-term relationship of some sort, you're looking for her to see you as her best option, number one. And number two, you're looking for, does she have the ability to pair bond? That means her neurochemicals fire and do the good things that they need to do so that she is drawn towards you emotionally after you guys are sexually active. Those are the two things you're looking for, all right? It doesn't matter necessarily how many people she slept with or haven't slept with. What matters is, can she do those two things, all right? One last thing about the virgin chicks or the chicks with low notch counts, the risk you run into is they haven't had many experiences, and so you run into getting in a long-term relationship with them and them turning around years later, usually after a kid or two, and it's been called, I think Rollo Tomasi called it, making up for missing out, but it's where they feel like they've missed out, they feel like they didn't optimize their hypergamy and their ability to find the best mate, so they feel like they've missed stuff, and then they want to go and act like a teenager or an early 20s person again. The thing that they didn't do because they got married too early, they didn't have very many sex partners. They want to now sow their wild oats, so to speak, in their early or mid 30s or even sometimes early 40s. All right? This is a lot of times they don't wait till that divorce is final for that to happen. A lot of times they will keep that guy that they married around and start doing things to compromise a relationship. And that's not good either. And I've seen that scenario a number of times where a girl had a notch count less than 3. She slept with less than 3 people. We assume she's not lying about that. Got married early and then later on felt like she had missed out, right? So again, these are your risks. It's always a risk reward. And I'm not saying don't go for the girl with a low notch count, that's a bad idea. I'm saying you always have to look at her actual personal makeup. Notch count is not the only thing you're looking at or the answer. It's just one data point, all right? You're looking again for, does she see you as the best option that she could get? And does she have the ability to pair bond? Those are the two things you are looking for. You need to vet out for that as a man, okay? So just I'm a virgin isn't the only answer, because there are crazies who have low notch counts. Trust me. Thanks again for tuning in, and thanks for your support. Again, get on my email list. Till next time.